Today we're going to be talking all about how to start a budget for beginners. So if that is something that you're interested in and want to know how to master your budget and win with money, then definitely stick around. I'm Marissa and welcome back to my channel, The Budgeting Wife, where we talk about budgeting tips to help you win with money. I love budgeting and I could talk about it all day long, which is why I have a YouTube channel, but budgeting has been the backbone for us to pay off $87,000 of student loan debt in 2.5 years. I love a budget because it enables me to tell my money where to go, and I am able to have control with my finances rather than letting my money control me. Obviously, I can't say enough good things about budgeting, and I want to get you guys excited about budgeting as well. So let's go through the process of how you can start a budget as a budgeting beginner. First, take a look at your income and expenses for the last couple months to see where you really have been spending your money. If you don't currently have a budget or are tracking your expenses, you probably don't even know where your money is going. So print out your last couple bank statements and credit card statements and group up your expenses. Categorize them by groceries, by eating out, by utilities, and figure out the kinds of things that you're spending your money on. You can use an app like Mint to help you with this, or you can just do it old school with either pen and paper or Excel. I do love using Mint to track my net worth, but I have found it to be a little bit difficult when categorizing my expenses because it doesn't always choose the correct category. But either way, find some time and sit down and categorize where you've been spending your money. You may even be surprised to see how much money you've been spending on certain items, like even eating out or entertainment. Also, be sure to check over your income. Take a look at your pay stubs to make sure that your withholdings are correct and that you're bringing home as much income as you truly should be. I know that for us, one time Jacob received a raise at his job and he didn't notice it for 6 months until he actually checked his pay stub. That was the last time we ever made the mistake of not consistently checking our pay stubs. So definitely be sure to go check yours to make sure everything is in order. Next, write down your financial goals. If you are single, then that just includes you, but if you do have a spouse, sit down with your spouse and dream through your financial goals. What are you wanting to accomplish? Are you trying to pay off debt, save for an emergency fund, contribute more for retirement? Whatever that may be, write it down so that you guys know what you're working towards with your finances. You want to use your budget to accurately reflect the goals that you have for your finances. So before you even start a budget, make sure you know what those goals truly are. Then decide on a budgeting platform. There are many different platforms out there that you can use to create a budget. You can use an app like EveryDollar, that is one of my favorite apps to use, or you can be old school with pen and paper, or even use Excel, which is my favorite method to budgeting. If you're interested in getting an Excel budget template, I actually do sell them on my Etsy shop, which I will go ahead and leave a link to down below and you guys can check out. It is $5 for the template, and that is the exact template that I use for my budget every single month. But whatever that platform may be, decide on one and stick to it. It should be the platform that's going to be easiest for you so that you will stay motivated to continue budgeting. Then it's time to come up with a plan with your budget by using a zero-based budget. A zero-based budget is pretty simple. It just basically means that all of your income needs to equal all of your expenses. So every single dollar gets a name at the beginning of the month. So whether you put money to expenses like utilities and rent, or even putting money into savings, make sure that every single dollar has a place to go at the beginning of the month, and that is what we call a zero-based budget. So sit down with your preferred method of budgeting and take a look at the expense tracking that you did earlier and come up with a budget for this month. You can use your spending history as a guide to determine how much you should be budgeting in each category, and then even tweak it to work on accomplishing your financial goals. Or if you realize that you've been spending way too much money on eating out, maybe you know that you need to budget less for eating out to hold yourself accountable. While you are assigning a budget to each of your budgeting categories, you may need to make some adjustments, because at the end of your budget, you want to make sure that it gets to zero. So to be able to get to zero, that means you might have to cut a little bit out of that vacation budget. Maybe you need to trim down your entertainment, or you find that you have extra money at the end, so you're able to put even more towards paying off debt. Make any adjustments that you need to get down to zero at the end of that budget. If you are married, make sure that your spouse is involved in the budgeting process. Money is such an important part of a relationship. Money fights are a huge deal in marriage, and so we want to make sure that we eliminate that as much as possible. So sit down with your spouse and come up with your budget together, making sure that you're both communicating about what you want to see in the budget and also maybe what you don't want to see in the budget, and come up with a game plan that works best for the both of you. Once the budget bounces to zero and both people are in agreement with the budget for the month, then you are ready. And notice how I didn't say that you are done, because a budget is more work than just putting numbers on a page at the beginning of the month. A huge part of budgeting is actually tracking your expenses as you go. So the next step is to be checking in with your budget on a regular basis. For us, we check in our budget every single week. On Sunday evenings, I will pull up my budget and my bank statements and check over all of the expenses that I've made and put them into the correct categories in my budget to track how we're going. I do this to make sure that we're still on track with our budget, and I may even notice that we might have to make some mid-month adjustments. Just because you make a budget at the beginning of the month doesn't mean that it's set in stone. So if you notice that you're going way over on groceries and you haven't spent anything on eating out, maybe you need to reallocate some funds to put more towards groceries and less towards eating out this month to be able to make your budget work. Rather than just throwing the month away if the first couple weeks don't work out, sit down and come up with plan B for the rest of the month's budget. You can still make it work. And I also want to let you guys know that budgeting takes about 3 months to get in the habit of. So if your first month is terrible and nothing goes to plan, that's okay. Take what you learned and apply it to the next month and see how that goes. Give yourself some grace as you're learning how to budget for the first time. And if you're able to stick to it for a few months, I guarantee the budgeting will be totally worth it. And the last thing I want to remind you guys of is that a budget gives you permission to spend. Maybe you've grown up with basically using the word budget as a bad word, of hearing your parents say, it's not in the budget, but I want to let you guys know that a budget actually gives you permission to spend. So use your budget to be able to accomplish your financial goals and also be able to enjoy life. A budget is your guide, and it allows you to live the life you want to live by holding you accountable and keeping you in between the lines. I hope that this video was helpful for you if you are looking to start a budget. Here on my channel, The Budgeting Wife, I do a ton of videos on budgeting, so if you aren't subscribed, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and leave me a comment down below and let me know how long you've been budgeting for, whether this is your first month or maybe your 10th year. I would love to hear where you guys are at with that, and I will look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Bye guys.